Y llegó Liberty Revolt, el programa donde compartimos estrategias para enfrentar la guerra cultural en nuestra sociedad y analizamos la política y sus ramificaciones. Únase a nosotros para discutir las ideas filosóficas que nos impactan día a día. Gracias por sintonizar el programa de Bucky Dillon.
What's up, guys? How you doing? Good to see you. Hop in the comment section. Let me know that you're there, and let me know how you're doing today, because this is a community chat. I didn't get on here with anything specifically that I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to touch base with the Liberty Revolt audience and have a conversation with you. So hop in that comment section right away and let me know who you are, where you're at. I'd love to talk with you. I've been gone from doing content largely for a little bit because I've been focusing more on the business side of the Liberty Revolt and trying to grow our capacity to monetize this. And I'm happy to announce that we will be releasing a new line of CBD products called Liberty Organics CBD on the website in the coming days, hopefully by Monday. I got it independently lab certified this last week, and I've been working hard on creating the labels. So we're going to be putting that up on the website. Right now, we're looking at the resale license so that we can avoid taxes. Y'all know at the Liberty Revolt, we're always trying to avoid giving money to the government, right? It's true. We are. We are also releasing a line of clothing merchandise. So be looking for T-shirts and hats with the Liberty Revolt logo. If you guys are interested in getting one, I think we're going to offer the first. Gosh, I think we'll offer the first. I haven't determined a number yet, but let's call it 5. We're going to offer the first 5 people T-shirts and hats at cost. So we will not make anything at cost to have the T-shirt produced and shipped out to you guys. So if you're interested in a Liberty Revolt T-shirt or hat, let me know. You just plug it in the comment section, and I'll get a hold of you via private message. Right now, there's a couple things you should know about it. It's going to have the next gen cotton, which I guess is the cotton that fits nicely, like this T-shirt here. It fits well. It doesn't fit you like a cardboard box, and it's not made in China. So, yeah, they're going to be simple, black with white lettering on the front. If you're watching this, if you're hanging out with me, hop in the comment section. Like I said, I did not hop on with an agenda to necessarily speak about anything, but to just connect with you guys and build a relationship with you guys. What do you guys think is going on with the local news, right? The local news. I just saw an article that apparently you can be fired for not having a vaccine and you will be denied unemployment benefits. I feel like in so many capacities, our society is headed towards a multitude of parallel economies, each catering to a different political ideology, and it is not good. We don't want to see our economy split into parallel economies reflecting our political ideologies. That is not going to be good for our country, and I know that the enemies of free states around the world are foaming at the mouth, gleeful that we are tearing ourselves apart from our own countrymen. I mean, what is the definition of patriotism? Patriotism is more than loving the geography. It's more than loving your constitutional foundations in this country. It means loving your countrymen. It means loving your country because your country is made up of people. So you have to love the people. And right now, our love for each other is eroding faster than possibly ever. I mean, this pandemic is really bringing out the worst instincts of some of those in our society who are politically engaged or politically opinionated, and to see people so eagerly disregard our constitutionally guaranteed freedoms because they believe it's better for public safety. And most of these people don't have any idea what they're talking about. I was just having a conversation with someone earlier today who was telling me that they're happy that schools are going to be mandating masks in various districts around the country, including here in Colorado, Poudre School District. That universities are going to be requiring masks and potentially requiring vaccines and proof of vaccination on college campuses. Now, the campus did say that, or the CSU more broadly did say that they were not going to mandate vaccines, but they just pawned it off to the campuses. They said explicitly, we're going to leave it up to individual campuses to decide whether or not vaccines are mandatory on the campus. And, you know, we're talking about CSU, which is the largest employer in Fort Collins. I'm glad I just moved to Greeley, to Weld County. It's a little bit redder here. But watching what's happening in Fort Collins, it feels like that is spreading around the rest of the state quickly. And the same policies that are being pursued in Fort Collins, in Boulder, and in Denver are being pushed by the state government more broadly around the state. You know, recently there was actually a Weld County secession movement. In fact, I invited the guy who was leading that movement to come give a speech at the radio station, and he did. And it was interesting, and I don't think it gains that much traction. There will be a massive die-off of humanity within the next 3 years from the graphene oxide in the vaccines. The variants are coming from the vaccinated. The vaccine equals genocide. I would love for you to show me some of that content. You know, I've been skeptical at some of the vaccine conspiracy theories and the COVID testing conspiracies. And I'm not saying that there's any merit to them. I'm just saying I'm not aware of it, and it really hasn't been something that I've dove into that much. And the last time I spoke about vaccine conspiracies, my YouTube channel was removed, and they said it was going to be removed for 2 weeks, and it ended up being removed for like 3 months. And it was interesting because I was just hosting a debate, actually, Yoko. I was just hosting a debate, so I brought in somebody who had been studying Dr. Fauci since the 90s, when there was the AIDS epidemic, and Fauci was working at the not the CDC, but maybe the CDC. He was working for one of the big health organizations back in the 90s, and this guy came on, and he was talking about how Fauci was bad news. And then as I was letting him speak, somebody in the audience was getting very upset, and so they started commenting, trying to kind of argue the points that this other guy was making. And so I sent him the link to join the live stream, and that guy joined the live stream, and it was a very lively debate. It was yeah, absolutely. YouTube is not for beta males. It's certainly not a free speech platform. But I had even done a video trying to debunk some conspiracy theories about it, and YouTube docked me for that one. They docked me for that one. They gave me a warning, and then later on, when I hosted a debate, which per viewers voting was determined that the guy who was kind of trying to debunk conspiracy theories had won over in public opinion, YouTube kicked me off. They said it was going to be 7 days, or 2 weeks. I don't remember, but it ended up turning into months. That was like back in March. And we just like 3 days ago got our YouTube channel back. So I don't know if I want to talk about the V's too much yet, but if you want to put stuff in the comment section, Yoko, do it. This is a free speech organization, the Liberty Revolt. We think that the answer to irrational speech or immoral speech is more speech. It's to put it out in the public. And we believe that the public is smart enough to make their own decisions. It's interesting because this kind of ties into an idea that Spike Cohen had shared on Facebook. For those who don't know, see, this is how they win. It is how they win. I honestly feel bad just being on YouTube and Facebook because of what they're doing. And I feel like it's a very tough situation, right? Amazon controls so many of the servers. That's how they were able to just knock Parler right off the basically off the internet for almost everyone, unless you went directly to the website. And I've never really been on Parler, but I do feel bad for being on these platforms and driving traffic to these platforms. It does make me feel like I am being that I am propping up companies that are utilizing their power against my freedoms, such as the government, such as any large corporation or any human being in a position of power. But this harkens to a do I have a smart meter? What do you mean by smart meter? Harkens back to a post that Spike Cohen, who was Joe Jorgensen's Libertarian running mate during her presidential run in 2020, and he was saying it was having a podcast with this friend of his that turned him into kind of a more devout libertarian. And there was 3 questions that he was asked that he couldn't rationalize his way out of, and therefore could not justify his original position and had to become a libertarian. Question number 1, if we can't trust people with freedom over their own lives, how can we trust people to have power over the lives of others? Number 2, if we can trust people to have power over the lives of others, why can't we trust people to have power over their own lives? And question number 3, if only some people can be trusted with that power, why do we trust the people who don't trust with freedom to choose who we do trust with power? And basically, if you think about it, it ends up putting you in a position to where you either have to argue that only that we should have a society run from the top down by our elites, or we need to give everybody maximum freedom of choice to live their own lives and pursue their own dreams and make decisions for themselves, including decisions about their personal health, right? And others will say that, well, by risking infection with a contagious virus and not taking precautions to stop yourself from spreading it, that you are therefore imposing a cost on those around you. And that's an interesting thing, but everything we do in our normal lives does impact others to a degree, right? Obviously, if you're polluting a river, that imposes a cost on people downstream, and I think most people are comfortable with the idea of trying to regulate that to some degree. How do we draw the line between, obviously if we weren't making calculated risks on our impacts on our own lives and the lives of others around us, the speed limit would be 5 miles an hour, right? You wouldn't be allowed to drive quickly anywhere, because when you drive fast, you are subjecting the rest of society to some kind of risk, right? But are we all going to ride bicycles with padded motorcycle helmets and motorcycle jackets on to keep ourselves safe? At some point, we need to decide that your personal safety is your choice, and that's what's kind of shocking about these people who are mandating that we mask up again, or lock down businesses, or trying to mandate that people take vaccines at work. There's no we, there's you. Weather the storm. It's interesting. I do believe we should maximize individual liberty, and if you don't want to risk freedom, don't go outside. In our country, it's a tough choice, but I think about the political ideologies taken to their extreme. I think about what extreme left-wing ideologies look like, and it's authoritarian. I look at what extreme right-wing ideologies look like, and it's authoritarian. And then I look at extreme libertarianism, and it seems dangerous, but is freedom more dangerous than being subject to top-down control? I mean, obviously, when you have top-down control, you are better equipped to handle some situations. I would say that, for example, if you wanted to maximize the people's safety, it wouldn't be through freedom. But are you really safe if you are dependent on some outside entity for freedom? I mean, think about it. China was able to stop the spread by locking everyone in their homes, literally welding doors shut, and forcibly arresting anyone who tried to leave their house for 2.5 months in some places. But did that make people safer? Are you safe when the government can abduct you for any reason, when you have no rights? If you don't have the right to defend yourself, you don't have the right to speak freely, you don't have the right to think a dissident opinion, you're not a free human being. You might as well be cattle. You might as well be livestock. You're a hostage to your government. And are hostages safe? I don't think so. So, I'm rooting for Rothbardian anarcho libertarianism if I'm going to root for anything, knowing that it's likely never going to. My idea of a political scenario is probably never going to manifest in the world, but hopefully it would become more popular, and we could live in a society that maximizes individual freedoms and protect people. I would certainly like to see things influenced in that direction. That brings me to something I've been thinking about a lot, and let me know what you think. Libertarianism versus Republicanism. Like, if you have to vote for one or the other, right? And I'm not even saying that our votes amount for that much. I absolutely think there is corruption and influence being poured into the pot. There's a little bit of dog shit being sprinkled in the brownie mix. But let me know what you guys think about the Libertarian Party and the Republican Party. I feel like I agree more with the Libertarians, but I don't feel like they have a shot at winning. So which is easier, libertarianizing the Republicans, or helping the Libertarians actually get some meaningful traction? I think it's definitely good to be a registered libertarian. I think it helps to be a registered libertarian. It helps your local party. What do you mean? I think it helps to be registered to the Libertarian Party. I think that does help. I think it definitely helps to be involved with your local Libertarian Party and engaging with them, going to the conventions, meeting them. Right. It is absolutely not supposed to be handed to you. You gotta work for it. But you also have to use the tools that are available. And in many instances, it seems like the level of Republican activism, the level of Republicans being engaged and involved, that it may be easier to sell your Republican neighbor on the idea that libertarianism and more libertarian conservatism is a better philosophy than at this point it is to get libertarians to win an election. I'm telling you that. I've been to the Libertarian Convention, and it was kind of a shit show. And I've got to say, when it comes to the ground game, the left is winning by a lot. And I think part of that's their the framework they're operating from. Yeah, people are absolutely being lied to. I don't think people understand just how manipulated their media is, and why it's being manipulated. It's not being manipulated on accidents. It's being manipulated with a very specific agenda behind it. I think the left is just ideologically has a stronger tendency to be political activists. They believe that the government is a legitimate tool for pursuing the change they would like to see in the world, whereas the libertarians believe a lot more strongly that the free market is a better tool to leverage to see the change that they would like to see in the world, and then that private enterprise and private effort. Come here, Summer. Is a more effective and moral tool to use. But if you believe in collectivization and you believe in utilizing the gun of government to impose change on people, then you are far more likely to get engaged in politics. And same with our media, same with our intellectual, our culture shaping class, and government itself. What is the government? Well, Murray Rothbard said in his book Anatomy of the State that the government is fundamentally that institution which tries to maintain a monopoly on violence within a given territory, and it is always seeking to expand that territory, and it is always seeking to expand its ability to implement that force and the amount of force that it can manipulate. Libertarians are mostly on the fence, but it is too based on morality, and people sometimes are not informed enough to push you guys left. I feel you, brother. Yeah. And here's the thing. I think so many of our friends on the left, they just don't understand what the government is, right? And they understand that monopolies can be corrupt, and they're very concerned with corporate corruption, with private corruption, and they see the government as a tool to crack down on all of these things. And I sometimes have sympathy for the monopoly busting crowd. My co-patriot Kevin did a very good job of showing me that I couldn't hold up that end of the argument. And he talked about the difference between a natural monopoly and a government-backed monopoly, and I think he's correct there. Most of the monopolies we have are government-backed monopolies, and the left wants to turn these monopolies into even stronger monopolies, because what is the government, right? That you always hear the left railing against the profit incentive. You always hear the left railing against. You always hear the left railing against these private monopolies. But what is the government but a monopoly with law enforcement capability behind it, right? Is a government-run industry not a corrupt monopoly? Do government agencies not have a profit incentive? Do government employees, government workers, and elected officials not always seeking to maximize their profit? And what is more corrupt, to make a profit by engaging in consensual transactions with people via the economic means, by engaging in the production and exchange process with people voluntarily, wherein I make a product, I record drums for a song, and someone pays me to record drums for their song. Did I in some way rob them? No, there was nothing immoral about that. But the political means to wealth is inherently immoral. The political means to wealth, i.e., the act of using the threat of state-sponsored violence to extract the wealth from the private sector, to extract the wealth from individuals and private businesses into the government's coffers, that is inherently coercive. That is inherently violent. Every single law, every single regulation, every single tax at the end of the day is backed by the threat of state-sponsored gun violence. If it wasn't backed by violence, it wouldn't be a law. It would be a suggestion. And I think that's something that our friends on the left really don't understand. These people are not anti-gun, right? You hear these people on the left say, guns are designed to kill people. Guns are evil. Gun violence this, gun violence that. But then they rally to give the government, which is basically just one giant gun with a money printer. They're always looking to expand the giant gun of government, and the left is not anti-gun. They're very much pro-gun. They're pro their representatives pointing guns at you, right? Taking away your guns and leaving you defenseless. And when you realize that the only thing that the government fears is the threat of violence, either domestic or foreign, then you understand why the Second Amendment is so important. And I pray to God that we never have to utilize our Second Amendment against our own government. But truly, it is the Second Amendment is important. It was put there for a reason, because that's what holds the government accountable to the people. You don't have a representative government if the government has no accountability to the people, because the most important and effective monopoly that you could have, or that could exist in the world, is a monopoly on violence. Because at the end of the day, the Constitution is just a piece of paper, and if the people whose constitutional rights are being violated have no ability to defend themselves against those who are violating their rights, that piece of paper is nothing but target practice. I mean, really, without the whole point in the Second Amendment is meant to be a deterrent from a tyrannical government. Absolutely. And I don't think the left understands that by pushing to make these government agencies bigger and more powerful, by pushing to make government more powerful and bigger and more expensive, by pushing to make businesses carry the burden of more and more regulations, that they are not liberating people in any sense. They're not liberating people. They're pointing guns at people. Mao Zedong correctly pointed out that political power grows from the barrel of a gun. That was Mao Zedong's entire epistemology boiled down into a single statement. Political power stems from the barrel of the gun. And I think your everyday liberal voter doesn't really understand that, but I think the left-wing power players very much understand that. They are looking to achieve a monopoly on violence. They're looking to point state guns at anyone who disagrees with them. What is a vaccine mandate? It's them basically saying that if you don't get the vaccine, they're okay with government agents pointing guns at you, right? Because let's say they pass a vaccine mandate to be on federal property, or to engage in a certain type of business, or to go to school, and you refuse and you keep going on to that property not vaccinated. What happens if you resist arrest? I just said this a moment ago. Behind every law is the threat of state-sponsored gun violence. So don't let the left tell you that they don't love guns. They love guns. They love government agents with guns. They can say defund the police all they want. They love guns. They love pointing guns at people. If you refuse to get the vaccine and you go on property, then you are therefore trespassing. And if you are therefore trespassing, they have the right to physically remove you. And if you resist being physically removed, they have the right to violently physically apprehend you and remove you. And if you continue to resist, you are going to have a government agent via a police officer of some form pointing a gun at you. All of these mandates, all of these regulations, all of these taxes, these laws, all political power is backed by the threat of state-sponsored gun violence. So if you're watching this, let me know in the comment section what you think of everything that's going on. Yes, it does just have us fighting each other, and they want us fighting each other. If you're in the comment section, continue letting me know what your thoughts are, what your opinions is. This is a community chat for a reason. I want to get you guys involved. I didn't come on here with an agenda to speak about anything specifically. I just wanted to rap with you and build relationships with the audience. So please give it a like, give it a share. Hop in that comment section. Let me know who's watching and what your thoughts are, and have a conversation with me. I'm here to be with you. But that just has us fighting each other. Yeah, absolutely. And it's absolutely on purpose. And I would say I think I have more with the more in common with the progressive Bernie bros than I have with some of the so-called centrists and moderate Democrats and the establishment. Well, should I say the establishment Democrats and Republicans? I definitely have more in common with the anti-establishment crew, regardless of political persuasion, than I do with the establishment. I think our friends on the progressive left, I think they're correct to point out certain problems. I think they're correct to have concerns about student loan debt. I think they're correct to have concerns about corruption in the pharmaceutical industry and corruption in business. I think they're correct to have concerns about racism and even some of those other cultural things. But I think their approach is often the opposite tactic that we need. Their approach always seems to be counterproductive, right? They hate corporate corruption, but their solution is to make the government stronger and more capable of regulating business. What happens when you make the state more capable of regulating business? Does it crack down on the super wealthy, or does the super wealthy then lobby the government to weaponize those regulations to crush their competitors, like we see over and over and over and over and over? This is a great opportunity for me to talk about CBD. Why was cannabis made illegal in the United States? Well, this was on the heels of prohibition. So alcohol was illegal. As everybody knows, alcohol, very, very popular. Turns out people, Americans, we like to drink, love to drink. I like to drink, right? And I don't think the government has any business telling me that I'm not allowed to drink. Right, you have to regulate the regulation. It just goes on and on and on and on. Guess what the two most regulated industries in the United States are? Healthcare and education. Guess what our progressive friends think the remedy the remedy is? More government intervention. What two industries? Healthcare and education. back to the CBD. Henry Anslinger, who was the head of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, was trying to justify the budget that was allocated to that bureau to fight prohibition, right? Prohibition, alcohol was illegal. It took a lot of government money to enforce alcohol, right? So after alcohol was re-legalized, they had to find a way to justify that budget. And this is the nature of government agencies. Government agencies don't just pursue the policies that solve the problem. In fact, often they're incentivized to not solve the problem, because insofar that they solve the problem, they're out of a job, right? So they tried to make alcohol illegal. They spent tons of money into the Federal Bureau of Narcotics to try to enforce that. They ended up deciding it was unenforceable, and it was creating a lot of civil unrest and backlash against the government. So they backed off. But then they had to justify their budget. So Henry Anslinger, who was the head of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, teamed up with what was his name? Not Rupert Murdoch, but he was synonymous with Rupert Murdoch. Randolph Hearst. Randolph Hearst, who was a major media mogul back then. They teamed up with Randolph Hearst, who had a corresponding interest in seeing hemp illegalized, right? Hemp was a very easy to grow plant. Anyone can grow cannabis in their closet. So it's very hard to consolidate that industry, right? They like industries with many barriers to entry that make it difficult for their competitors to survive. Hemp, after the invention of the decorticator, which made it so that hemp fibers could be processed without the use of slave labor, it was set to put traditional wood paper out of business. Did you guys know that the original draft of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution were written on hemp paper? Hemp, which has been illegal in the United States for decades and decades. At one point, when we were still British territories, Virginia was forced into growing hemp to be exported back to Britain. Hemp has been a thriving industry for a very, very long time, but it was disrupting the market. Randolph Hearst had paper mills, and he was utilizing these paper mills for his newspaper empire. He knew that his investment would be interrupted and tampered with by the innovation of hemp paper, which could be grown easily, quickly, and make cheaper, more efficient, make the production of paper cheaper and more efficient. And this innovation would have been disruptive to his industry. So Randolph Hearst and Henry Anslinger got together, government and private business got together to regulate their competitors out of business. Randolph Hearst started putting out all kinds of newspaper content, utilizing white racism to say that marijuana was this dangerous drug that was going to kill people, that was going to poison people, that was going to poison our culture and our society. Marijuana isn't even a word for the cannabis plant. Marijuana is a Mexican weed. Cannabis was renamed marijuana by Randolph Hearst to utilize racist and xenophobic tendencies that were prolific in old America to push this idea that it needed to be regulated, and they were successful. And we are still trying to untangle that. Has the Federal Bureau of Narcotics gotten any smaller? No, they love the war on drugs. If the war on drugs were to end, the Federal Bureau of Narcotics would be out of a job, right? The government is often teaming up with the intellectuals in society, with the experts, push an agenda that grants them power, right? It's just as easy to buy your scientific experts as it is to buy a congressperson or anyone else. Think about it, right? If the government is willing to spend billions of dollars on the pharmaceutical companies so that the pharmaceutical companies can develop a vaccine that will in turn be mandatory, you think they're going to let that be interrupted by a little thing like hydroxychloroquine? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And we have so many people that believe we should just outsource our freedom of choice, our freedom to live our own lives to these faraway agencies like the CDC that doesn't care anything about your freedom. They don't care about your freedom. They care about their job. They care about their guaranteed government paycheck. They care about their authority and their ability to influence society. They don't care about you at all. At all. They don't care about your freedoms at all, right? They intentionally shut down any talk questioning the official narrative that grants them power, right? It's interesting. The same people who are so outraged by the private insurance companies and the pharmaceutical companies want to make vaccines mandatory and want to shut down any talk of alternative therapeutics. How ironic is that? It's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. We, the people, need to determine what information we want to have access to and what we believe. If you can't trust everyday people to have the mental wherewithal to make their own decisions, who are you going to trust to make decisions for you? Honestly. Anyways, guys, I'm going to get out of here. It was nice talking with you. If you're watching, hop in the comment section. Let me know that you're there. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, what you'd like me to speak more about. Let me know if there's a specific topic you would like to see the guys at the Liberty Revolt look into and do a show on. We are here to take care of you. We are here to take our time to research things that you guys are interested in hearing about, interested in talking about, and have conversations with you guys. We love you. We hope you have the most wonderful day. Be on the lookout for our new line of CBD products. I just got them independently lab certified, organic, no pesticides, no chemicals. What's on the label is all that's in the tincture, and what's in the tincture is on the label. Also, if you guys are interested in getting Liberty Revolt t-shirts, Liberty Revolt hats, those are also in the work. We went out of our way to make sure that none of the products we're going to be coming out with were manufactured in China. And we made sure that the t-shirt fabric isn't like a cardboard box. It's not the traditional cotton. It's the next gen cotton, which I guess is the cool word for that type of fabric, but it's the next gen cotton that fits really well. And I had to make sure of that because I know I got a couple t-shirts that I don't even necessarily like the logos. Like this one, I don't want to support Columbia Sportswear. I don't know anything about the company, but it just so happens that this fabric is better than the fabric for all my other t-shirts. So I end up wearing it like all the time. Hey guys, thanks for following the Liberty Revolt. It does us huge good if you guys are willing to click on our likes and press the button that says invite your friends and just shoot it off to a handful of people that you think may be interested in the content we provide. If you guys invite your friends, that really is the fastest and most efficient way of making us grow. If you would like to see change, and you would like to see the kind of change that I would like to see, either do something or support someone who is doing something. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful day. And remember, to be a patriot means loving your fellow countrymen. So let's love each other and let's try to win the culture, not by mandating people, but by persuading people that our ideas are worth defending. Have a great day.
Y llegó Liberty Revolt, el programa donde compartimos estrategias para enfrentar la guerra cultural en nuestra sociedad y analizamos la política y sus ramificaciones. Únase a nosotros para discutir las ideas filosóficas que nos impactan día a día. Gracias por sintonizar el programa de Bucky Dillon.